Hey team, Katie here from Equestrian Movement, and I'm going to do a little training on what to do if your horse decides that it wants to do relaxing and connection work with you, and how to get them coming back around into work again. So this was the first training session that I did back with Raf after being pregnant, and I hadn't done anything with him for probably about 2 years. Rafi knows this work and is good at it, but was a little bit unconsenting of doing any work, basically, lacking enthusiasm, that kind of thing. And I think it was because it might have been a bit rude of me to just pull him out of the paddock after not talking to him basically for 2 years. So there's a lot of, not having that eye contact, not being particularly connected to me, not being enthusiastic. I will also say that there's certain times of the day that get different levels of enthusiasm and temperatures as well. So understanding your horse's unique personality and the times of day that they have the most energy and they're the most enthusiastic, or if you kind of want to err on the other side and you're looking for less enthusiasm. Generally the mornings, particularly after they've had breakfast, they just kind of spend the day loafing around, grazing. Middle of the day they will have a rest under a tree if it's hot, or out in the sun if it's cold, and they generally will get a bit of a spark of energy kind of after that 3 or 4 o'clock time frame. So if you've got a horse that's particularly like you're trying to manage their energy levels, working them in the morning can be easier, whereas if you're looking for a horse that you're needing to bring energy to them, working in the afternoons can be better for getting that kind of level of energy. And it's the same, we have the same fluctuations of energy ourselves throughout the day. So I'm fairly unproductive around 12 till 2 and I find it hard to kind of like jazz myself up to do anything coming up until 3, but once I get myself organized, then from about 3 I get another kind of rush of energy that gets me through the afternoon, evening. And these are really normal cycles, and they have to do with hormones that our body releases, and like our cortisol patterns throughout the day. So you can see that Rafi doesn't particularly want to consent anything, and he's giving me lots of cues to relax. So we spent some time, this training session is about half hour, so I think I spent about 20 minutes with him doing our quiet and still and our relaxation. I didn't have any treats, so I wasn't using any treats with him on this day. Treats, however, can this is me asking, all right, you ready to work yet? No, not yet. We're still doing some relaxing. So us doing treat earning behavior can be a good way of building up the enthusiasm in our horses again to come back into work. I think sometimes our horses know that this is the work that we need. We might think otherwise because we have an agenda and we have expectations and we have goals, but our horses are a pretty good pick of us. And to be honest, Rafi probably was picking up on my postnatal hormones and was telling me I just need to have a relax in this video. So we did lots of relaxing work and connection work. And I just was trying to, you know, bring his energy levels up in this video is mostly through pressure. So also with my own body language. And so this is something that we can see happen with our horses if maybe if you're particularly excitable in your nature, or if you have people come around that are particularly excitable. It can set the horses off, to be more like sensitive and reactive. So, you know, there is a small amount of alertness and a small amount of you know, getting a little bit quicker in his movement. But trying to build enthusiasm through pressure is difficult. If you've ever, like, you know, worked with a kid, like just kind of pushing them to put more effort in, kind of has the opposite effect. So trying to kind of like jazz him up a little bit with my own energy there by putting more of a skip into my step. And he's still fairly unconsenting. It was this is also, I think, towards the end of winter, and like the sun was really nice. Like, it was a really nice time of day to just go out and lie and have a sunbake. And I think that this day, that is all Rafi wanted to do. So after about 25 minutes of that, we just step into using our pressure cues to ask for work. And you can see, like, you know, the overall enthusiasm is fairly lacking. Like, he knows how to go forward from whip pressure. And so this is where we want to have like super adjustable goalposts on the day. Like, we're just looking for what gets our horse interested in work and motivated and keen and wanting to find answers. So that's lots of praise and reward. But just, like, you know, if you've come down to the barn with that expectation of, like, today we're going to go out and we're going to jump meter fences, like, today is the wrong day for that choice. Today we're going to do some in-hand work and I'm going to get a yes to the walk-on cue. This is why, you know, we always talk about having adjustable goalposts so that you can, like, come back to something simple if you know, things aren't kind of going the way that you want them to. So we're getting some semblance of cooperation and work here. He's yesing my ass. They're not particularly enthusiastic. One of the things that we talk about is, you know, their ears are a pretty good at describing what their thoughts are doing. So his body is saying yes, but his brain is saying no. And you can see that in his ears and his general facial expression. Like, he's not stressed, he's not scared, he's not nervous. He's just wanting to sunbake and relax. So everything is saying no except for his response to my aids, which is saying yes, and we've just used our pressure tools to get that. So another thing that we could do would be to play games, some of our positive reinforcement games, to elicit a little bit more enthusiasm. We could also just treat train the yeses to these cues to get him more enthusiastic. But you know, some days you just gotta work. And it's just about how do we make work fun for our horses, which is going to be completely dependent on our horses' individual personalities and their nature. We've talked about how we kind of go between using or not using treats. You kind of, how can you bring your horse's energy level up into a focused working brain where they're putting effort in to their work without stressing them and kind of triggering that fear and flight response. So what we call this is toggling, is you know, being able to bring them down into this state of relaxation, but then also being able to bring them back up into work. And then before they kind of get over that threshold, like if I was to get really frustrated and upset with him and grumpy that, you know, he wasn't really doing much, he wasn't really giving me much, and start like getting into him with the whip, then like I would tip him over the threshold into fight, flight, or freeze, and he would stop like being able to concentrate and learn altogether. So it's just a balancing act there between the two. So we do see that here in this video with Raf, where we've broken the button altogether for the responsivity to the whip cue. So you know, he's fairly unconsenting of the whip. I'm showing like all of Rafi's worsts, but he is really lovely. Using treats to get him a little bit more enthusiastic in this video. Consenting the whip. Just having patience for him. And you can see, like, as you kind of bring the treats out, the enthusiasm and the motivation to yes the questions come out a bit more. And so when we're using our whip as our pressure tool, remembering that it is a word, the word is away from, and we're trying to cue those words in. It's just in this instance we were working on our yielding exercises and we got him fairly confused and overwhelmed about what the correct answer is. And we lost forward to that whip cue. So it's one of those kind of situations where you just try and you find their best effort on the day. And this is also, you know, in your lesson plan PDFs, you have a section at the end of it which is questions, your lesson review, questions to ask yourself about how well your lesson plan went, so that you can check in with yourself and make sure that, you know, you don't get frustrated or disheartened or upset that things didn't go so well or that the aid didn't work so well, and you can, you know, make up a plan for the next lesson as to how you're going to do it a little bit differently and how you're going to better support your horse. So using the whip doesn't always build up that motivation, because if you have like a horse like Rafi, he's very securely attached and confident. I am not going to use the whip on him to spook him into responding correctly. So we can still kind of lose that motivation to participate and engage in the exercise if we like confuse them, and using the whip is not the thing that motivates them. So it's finding the thing that gets your horse on your team and wanting to work with you. So I hope that answered some questions rather than creating new questions. Feel free, if you have any questions that come up from it, ask me and I'll do trainings and we can problem solve. Thanks for watching.